Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Chiama, and I'm the franchise owner for Action Coach in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm your host today of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have the pleasure to introduce Howard Rosen, the CEO of Nova Insights, as my guest. Today we're going to talk about Howard's business, his journey into business ownership, challenges, best practices, share a peek into what it's really like to own and operate and build a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when a show like this drops. Howard, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here today. If you would, please share a little bit about your background, who you are, and a little bit about your business.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me, Stephen. I'm looking forward to our discussion today. Very quickly, and looking back, I guess it turns out that I'm somewhat of a serial entrepreneur, though it's certainly not intentional by design. Very quickly, by education, I have an MBA, International Finance and Marketing. So I was trained to run a Fortune 500 company. Statute limitations allow me to say that I didn't attend all my classes, including the one that said you don't go from graduation to running a Fortune 500 company. So at graduation, being profoundly disappointed, naturally, with that background, I actually spent 20 years producing film and television.
Hmm,
So I did about $100 million worth of production over the 20-year period.
good.
Um, Without going into the details, which we can do later on, is I expanded the company also to the area of education and training. So I was
Mhm,
working with CMEs and type 2 diabetes and those areas. We're talking 2005, and
mhm,
in learning about how pervasive diabetes was going to be and was, and also how few people were managing the diseases, I very tritely thought, well, all you got to do is find out how to become more engaging to people, which was my business anyway, and that'll help them manage their diseases better. To make a very long story short, that evolved into me actually having invented a communication platform
oh,
for
good.
patients and providers for my next 20 years, which has been in
Hmm,
health technology and innovation. And
okay.
so in that area, I started as a solopreneur, then entrepreneur, then built a business. Clients included the VA, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Defense, state offices of public health. With this communication platform, which bizarreness of the world, I actually hold just awarded my ninth patent on that idea. But at the same time, I've also expanded into the area of working with clients selling my technology. I spent a lot of time consulting to the clients to get them to the stage to understand their needs and the technology. So we
Mhm,
actually have two businesses. One is actually the consulting, which we call humanizing transformation and digital transformation. And the other side is the technology. And the
mhm,
technology itself has evolved into doing a lot of work in terms of AI and AI agents in healthcare.
mhm, mhm.
And in fact, my team, one of the first to create the first AI agents in health, actually during COVID for the National Health Services in the UK. And so
Ah, very good.
we're predominantly involved now is building the business, having the business, but always building, in building having AI agents for healthcare.
Very good. Very good. Let's give the viewers a little bit of context here. A lot of people start up businesses in a lot of ways, structured with a lot of tools. One of them is, are they a solo owner? Do they have partners? Do they have investor money? What are the how is your business structured? How have you been able to drive forward?
It's always started off as a solopreneur, depending on the
Hmm.
business, and then bringing on the component. I treat it quite honestly. I've treated everything as an independent film producer.
Hmm.
So here's the idea, and who are
Hmm.
the people, who are the best people to help build the components to the film?
Hmm.
In this case, it's the business. And
Hmm.
so, because of tech, using leaning in on the AI side,
Hmm.
is it's working with technologists and who are the best people to work with to
Hmm.
help build out this idea. So it's not just talking the idea, it's actually doing the idea.
Hmm.
And so it's working that way. And simultaneously, as brilliant as I think I am, I know from my own, I know the practical reality. And so
Hmm.
what I do is I seek out thought leaders to become
Okay.
advisors
Good.
for the
Good.
business. That's what I did in the entertainment business. That's what I did when I did my first foray with the communication platform, and that's what I do on the AI side is having the advisory group to lean on, whose job is to tell me no.
Good.
Then my secondary job is to get beyond, listen to what they say and try to get beyond the objections, either because I'm singularly, I get this, they don't, or no, they got a point there.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you still need that guidepost. Like in terms of, yes, there's a reason why you're an entrepreneur and you have an innovation. It's because you see something sometimes others don't. So you've
Mm-hmm.
got to learn, learn when you should drive forward on some of that and learn to go
Mm-hmm.
sort of go, no, I've got this trusted group of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. 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 How far are you scaled up in terms of full-time team? And I'm assuming a lot of those people are in a contractor kind of mode.
Well, certainly AI business, it's a contractor mode for the most part. And
Yep.
there's a number of reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
Predominantly is because I have contractors in 6 countries.
Mm-hmm.
In 6 countries, and be honest, working out the tax and the circumstances and everything involved in that is
There's a
not a,
detail.
I've
Yeah.
got other, there's other things I want to worry about the business, and quite
Yeah.
honestly, other things I want to worry about in terms of the cost of my business and running my business.
Mm-hmm.
And at this stage, we're able to, it's actually much more cost effective to run as a contractor
Okay.
in a contractor mode than it is to have as employees.
Okay. So other than the technology aspects of things, that leaves you holding all the hats pretty much. All the business
It,
development hats, all of the scheduling hats, all of the customer service hats.
And that builds out to, as I say, start the technologists, then you start bringing out the customer support and how do you build off that? So it's sort of been the
Mm-hmm.
customer support off the technology because as difficult as it is, the easy part is the sale.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
difficult part is actually implementation and maintaining that sale and supporting them.
Very
So the
good.
next set of energies go in that particular area. Simultaneously, of course, you need 17 hats, and fortunately, there's 40 hours in a day. It is that marketing side is okay. What is it that you're really selling? Like it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everyone in the podcast has heard, AI agents,
Mm-hmm.
probably 10 times already this day that they're listening to the podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really differentiating what is it that you're providing, what is the value proposition, what you're providing, and working with that. And that involves marketing. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I can, as a consultant, I'm pretty good consulting to others about how the best marketing. I'm the worst person on the planet to be the one consulting to myself about marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go out and I have, this trusted sources for the marketing. Either they're on contract for the work. Eventually they will become employees, as happened with the
Mm-hmm.
other businesses. But
Mm-hmm.
to help shape that and to help, take what I'm saying and what we're saying is with the technology side to get that into something that we can actually explain. The biggest issue is, as we all do with our own businesses, we get caught in the world of process. We describe our process to people, but not what it is. And so it's important to know the right people, the right marketers, and again, the advisors to trust to sort of help cut through that to get to what's that value proposition that the average person understands.
Well, and then one of the things I liked about your website is the value, as you speak to value proposition, you've got an ROI calculator in there. So, oh my goodness, what it is, what are we really solving for people?
Well, in this particular case, the value proposition is, not to pitch the company, but we're dealing with physician burnout
Mm-hmm.
and we're dealing with the lack of, reduced staff and the
Mm-hmm.
costs associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're dealing with technology, you're selling air. It's like, okay, well, there's nothing tangible. There's no beautiful little box with a nice little bow and go, oh, I want that box with that bow. I'm
Mm-hmm.
selling bits and bytes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought, well, the tangible value is the ROI. So we said, well, why not take, we have 100, we do about 130,000 uses a year, 18
Mm-hmm.
different agents. Literally, we just took all that
Mm-hmm.
and created an ROI calculator for certain areas. So, prospective clients can go in with only 2 or 3 variables and they can actually see, obviously at a 10,000 foot level, they get a sense of what the value to them would be.
Well, let's talk to that a little bit. Who is your target customer? Who are you primarily serving?
It's predominantly health systems
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, or hospital groups in terms of
Hospital
dealing with
groups
their,
or doctor offices?
it could be doctor offices as well. We're
Mm-hmm.
expanding into that area in part because the technology side of what do they have technologically
Mm-hmm.
that we can help them with. and the
Mm-hmm.
costs associated with it. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, we're not a front end, we're not a bot, we're not sort of those AI scribes when you talk to it and it does all your charts. We're
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes to
Mm-hmm.
actually help and manage all that administration side
Mm-hmm.
and take information from various parts of the healthcare system and tie it in to help, again, statistically, we've been working with is 40% of doctors' time has been administration. A new
Mm-hmm.
report just came out that could be as high as 62%. And so what we're doing is we're taking that and automating those processes between 97 and 90, 98% of it all. And a business model where the ROI is there within their first year, their ROI is between 192 and 565%,
Good.
depending on the agent that they're using.
Very good. Very good. To that customer group, what makes you unique? So if I was Dr. Fred and had a office of two or three or four practitioners, what might cause me to call you and say, help?
The uniqueness, it's a good question because, in part, because from we talked about earlier, everyone's using the same nomenclature. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you clear that through? Um, a big part of our uniqueness is the fact is how long we've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So my team, include for North America, but if you look at the European group, they've actually been in this space for 15 years before it was
Oh
called
my.
AI agents.
Yeah.
And so we have a breadth of experience and breadth of scale and a breadth of actually understanding the issues facing the docs. It's not throwing them and here's a great shiny object. It's actually understanding and having use cases to say, look, here's a great thing and here's a use case of 100 patients. No, we'll show them a use case that's doing 27,000 patients a year
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the number is to sort of show the robustness of what it is, but be able to say, we know what your problem is and we
Mm-hmm.
have a
Mm-hmm.
system that's designed to address those issues.
Very
So it's
good.
experience. So really, fundamentally, it's experience.
Good. Good. And depth. That would come with that.
Yeah,
Ver-
yeah. Because be honest, when you deal with technology, there's a lot of technology out there, and it's changing all the time. So for anyone to say we've got the best and only technology is disingenuous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
That's a
with
good way to put it.
but the uniqueness is the brain power, which is the interesting part of all the technology and AI is still the strength is still the human mind.
Well, getting from the theoretical to the practical where we can actually make it do something.
Well, yeah, to get into the weeds, like AI today is still just number crunching. It's just
Mm-hmm.
algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
It's an algorithm, a really sophisticated algorithm on a massively large database, but it's just an algorithm. There's no insight, there's no intuition, there's no perspective, all those pieces. It's just comparing one to another, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no new piece, and
Got it.
that's what the human side of it is. And
Very
so
good.
the big pitch that you may have seen on the site is it's human AI collaboration. It's like you need the human side for the AI and elements in the agents to actually work properly and effectively.
Makes sense. Good. Good. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit here. What
Yeah.
was the thing that triggered you to go into business in the first place? And then why this
Oh,
business?
well, um, that's a good question. It was never, as I said, it was never a planned thing. Like I said, it was an MBA. So I go, okay, well, I'm going to be doing business, but really never quite sure what it's going to be. Literally, as facetious as it was, they train you, especially when I took it, they train you to work for a bank or an
Mm,
insurance company. That's kind of what you
mhm,
were trained for.
mm.
But I like spent a day in the bank and I went, oh, this is not going to work. This is not for me. And it was literally going through again, the very quick story is, in the old days there were newspapers and those newspapers had classified sections. And the
Mhm,
classified sections people were looking to buy and sell. And I
mhm,
went through the newspapers for people who are looking for staff and employees. And
mhm,
my pitch was, look, instead of getting an employee and getting involved in a long-term relationship, I'll do the consult. You must have a project. I'll do the consulting for you and consult for you. And I
mhm,
did a lot of gigs that way early on. One of the clients was someone who was a film producer who sort of said he's looking for he's looking for someone in the finance background to bring to the film business. I gave him the same pitch. Look, you must have a project. Don't worry about the full-time nonsense. You must have a project. I can help you with the project.
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
said, well, I'm tired of producing one picture every 3 years. I want to produce 3 pictures a year.
Ah.
And I went, okay, business school, I learned about widgets. How different can a widget be from a film? So I gave him a business plan based on that,
Hmm.
gave it to him, took my check, and I said, just as I get out of as I leave the door, he says, you want to do this with me? And that started the whole career in film. And that started my whole career of interest in technology because it was, as the time went on, those were the first computers were coming out. And we were the first companies to actually use computers to do the accounting on a film.
Ah, very good.
And we built things out and again, there's lots of technology pieces, but I was always fascinated by new things and all that. And for this one, in terms of the AI side, really it was something not knowing what I was doing, but in the technology of the communication platform, we created all these rules and things
Hmm.
and realizing that that was actually early machine learning pieces.
Hmm.
And then when I was doing consulting to groups in Europe, and I said this team who had been doing sort of these AI agents, before they called AI agents, who went, hold up, if we have these rules here and what they're doing there, that could be an interesting way of actually managing and helping things behind the scenes using technology. And so it
Hmm.
evolved organically, like it was not something going, aha, here specifically. It was, oh, isn't this interesting? Or if you put this piece together and that piece together. So it's
Hmm.
really more sort of my going, having no background, saying, what if you put this together and put this there? You now have a new kind of ball. Wonder what happens.
Interesting. Very, very
and
good.
and and lots of people, to your early question about the support side, lots of people saying you're out of your mind, um, which for many reasons they could be true, but instead it goes back to just being very clear on what you have that's unique. Like
Hmm.
in some presentations I've done, sometimes the more vehement people say no, maybe you're really onto something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
what'll happen afterwards, if it is successful, those people are going to come back and go, well, actually, I had that idea first. And that becomes a whole other world to deal with, which could be probably a whole other show.
Could
But
be. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
In this journey, and I'm sure you've addressed a whole lot of interesting hurdles to cross. What's one of the more memorable ones?
it's a really good question because a few of them, it's a combination. A few memorable, a few I really work hard to forget. Um,
Yeah, there's those too.
Part of it is, especially when you're dealing with innovation, is you're going to be hit with questions and things you just never expected to be hit with. Um,
Such
and
as.
in terms of like we're dealing, like we had a unique approach to dealing with security of what we did from hacking and things like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And so we had a question with a very large government agency that had very large issues in cybersecurity and everything else. And they're throwing questions out to myself and my IT team. And we just never had nomenclature to describe it properly. So as they're
Hmm.
asking us the questions, we're busy texting each other on the side, going, okay, what do you think this means? How do we figure this out? What do we got to do? And how do we address this?
Hmm.
And it's really more the hurdle was being able to describe this properly. So we're effectively doing it for the prospective client. It's the biggest hurdle is explaining what it is you're doing and making sure you use a language people understand, because in many cases, two people can use the same language and mean two different things. So
Or two different sets of vocabulary to mean the same thing.
absolutely, like there was a time in my previous business, we actually hired Gartner because we wanted to become buzzword compliant. So it was really hiring them to be, because as we get to deal with the larger clients that they were
Yeah.
consulting to, really to get an understanding of what are they saying versus what we're saying.
Yes.
Because that's the
Right.
most, ironically, communication is the biggest hurdle. is communicating what it is that you're doing. To your earlier question, what is your uniqueness?
Yeah.
What is the value?
Yeah.
What is the value to me? And
Yes.
knowing who to talk to about it. And the
Yes.
corollary, the other part is knowing who to talk to about that.
Sometimes aligning vocabulary is one of the most important starting points.
And one of the most difficult ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
And
very,
people get
very
married
difficult.
to their
It's a very
vocabulary.
exactly. And that could be a spell doom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that can hold everybody back for a long time while we figure that
Yeah,
while we sort this out or not do anything at all, which is probably the worst
exactly.
choice. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. And to that, it's always review what you have, like in terms of materials, what you're doing. Like it's really important, like every quarter or every half a year or whatever the case may be, always do a postmortem on a new client or
Mm.
client group and see what worked and what didn't work because and from lessons I've learned over across all the businesses
Hmm.
is sometimes we'll go to a new client and we may know what we could see online or what they've told us about them, but not know very much about them.
Hmm.
But the only thing I will know 100% for certain is whatever on that first meeting, whatever they tell me is their problem, I know 1000% certainty that's the last thing is their problem.
That's a
That's their
symptom.
symptom. That's their
Yeah,
symptom, not their problem.
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
to
And
and to be
that's
careful
probably
not to get caught on that.
yeah, well, that's probably true in a lot of places, actually. We
Oh,
we
absolutely.
we
Yeah.
get caught in, I mean, when we get a cold, we get caught up with the sniffling,
Yes.
and the dripping. Well, that's not the
Yeah.
problem. That's just what you're experiencing. Yeah. Yeah. We got
Yeah.
a virus underneath there someplace.
Or frankly, what you're hearing, I'm sure all your people listening to this podcast hear the board, of your company or your client's company saying we need an AI solution, but they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They just know we got to deal with AI.
Yep. Yep. Good. Good, good, good. When you look ahead 5 or 10 years, where do you see the business
Yeah.
going? Not the technology. Where do you see the business going?
How things change so quickly. So to your point, it's not to think about, we don't actually, and to the point, we don't get married to the technology
Mm-hmm.
because things change.
Mm-hmm.
Where the business is going, I think is getting more and more laser focused on certain terms of the industry, in terms of the healthcare side of things. It's going to be, and you may have heard, people may have heard already, but precision medicine and personalized care, where the tools are going to be there, where you're be a doctor or someone's going to be, and where technology is going to help manage you very specifically for your specific issues.
Mm.
Not just you got a cold, okay, well, you go to GP and 1,000 of you have a cold, but no, you've got a cold and your right leg hurts, or you've got a sniffle, your temperature is 98.9 as opposed to 98.6. You're going to get very specific medicine
Mm-hmm.
deal on your specific case. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to drill down. It's happening already. Like right now, there's a fire hose of data help attacking you from
Mm-hmm.
if you've got a watch or you've got a track or whatever on your devices, and your phone's tracking all sorts of things, and you can go out and get tests now, and there's all sorts of things you can do. It's a fire hose, and the biggest problem is the healthcare system on top of everything else can't process it all. So where does it all go? And the 80/20 rule, 80% of it is not value or valuable as insight, but 20% is. What is that 20%?
Yeah.
And
How do we
so
sort for that? Yeah,
as
exactly.
as time goes on, and with more genomics and very specific understanding of the chemistry of the body,
Mm-hmm.
like for medications, you're going to know, oh, don't take 2 aspirins a day. Take 5 milligrams of aspirin a day, or you only need 8 milligrams of aspirin. Just as examples, because there'll be the technology in terms of understanding your genome and your metabolism and your ability to process things. So you're not taking too much medication. You're taking what you need.
Good. Good,
It's
good,
going to get
good, good.
very specific, very directed. A lot of things have to happen to get there, a lot of efficacy to get there. And so our business will be, as I see it, continuing to direct that, be part of that.
Okay.
And my objective is hopefully to be one of the leaders in that area, at all possible.
What do you see as the main challenges to pull that off?
Oh gosh, that's limitless. Um, regulation.
Yeah.
And good and bad. There's a lot of value to regulation. Sometimes it
Hmm.
gets in the way. There's a lot of value to it. So it's just there's a regulatory thing. Government follows industry. It doesn't lead industry.
Hmm.
So just because we do something today doesn't mean there's a process to follow it. There's generational issues
Hmm.
depending on the age of physicians and decision makers.
Hmm.
You're going to get a lot of pushback. Like I remember early days in the communication piece. This is 2005. We're saying, text messaging is the route to go for people. And everyone's going, what do you talk, what is text messaging?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you got a push and a justifiable fear of technology and how it's going to be used, but
Hmm.
there's the technological hurdle, there's a psychological hurdle, and on top of it, you're dealing with health, and there's nothing more personal to people. So that's another layer of issues and hurdles to go over and to manage.
How far do you hope to build this, scale this business up to drive that?
Me myself, um, I'm planning both
Good.
succession and also evolution.
Hmm.
So I think as time goes on, justifiably, um, you want to have younger, different insights as it
Hmm.
builds.
Hmm.
So if I do this properly, quite honestly, in a couple of years, there should be somebody else leading. I'll still be involved, but you
Hmm.
probably want someone else leading because as the company gets a different size and different growth, I think you need different skill sets and different people to manage that.
So you're going to get to be the CEO of that $500 million company you were talking about.
Well, so 500 would be one of the subsidiaries, I guess. But
Very good. Very good. I like that.
that'll be just be a pet project. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I like that. I like that. Thinking back, knowing what you've learned over these years, the adventures that you've had, if you started your business new today, is there anything you would have done differently about how you built it?
Oh, again, a really good question. Probably of a number of things, and a great
Hmm.
number of things. I think it would be to have had more faith in the early days of decisions and thought
Mm.
process back to that vision. And in part is back to your earliest question about staff and people.
Hmm.
It's knowing when you have to have a certain group of people working with you as the company builds.
Hmm.
But as you get to different stages, unfortunately, some of those people shouldn't be there any longer.
Right.
More because it's running an entrepreneurial group is different than running a a medium-sized business, which is
Hmm.
different from a large-sized business, and it's just
Hmm.
different skill sets.
Hmm.
And it's sometimes you want a very open environment. You want a really good working environment. You want people to feel safe, but also be have the ability to innovate and all sorts of things. But
Hmm.
it's also got to be at a work where you've got to be able the ability to be a little bit mercenary to go.
Hmm.
This has been great, but we're moving on, and we need to change this position. There's
And that
no
happens.
question, and it's a practical reality.
Uh-huh.
That's hard, really hard. And but it's I think had it been a bit more mercenary on that, and would be more mercenary in that going forward.
There's a kind of a belief, I guess I would call it, out there among owners a lot of the times that I build this team with this group of people and we're like family. And it's not. It's a business. And you just touched on it right. Not everybody is suitable at a certain point for the role that
Yeah,
they're covering. They're very, very good at what they do, but the business
yeah,
needs something different now. And how do you manage
yeah,
that transitional sets of
yeah.
transitional
And that
processes?
and that's a very difficult part to your question about even for my role is certain people are great as entrepreneurs, but when
Hmm.
it becomes business up and running, shouldn't be running it.
Uh, they said that
There's
about Steve Jobs at
that's
one point.
yeah.
Of course, he
And
went
but even if he didn't he when he left and he did a couple of things on his own, he came back,
with
but
a
he also
whole new experience level.
Exactly. He could actually had a whole new experience, and he was very much more of the yes, it was his company, but really he was the visionary for the company, but he didn't run the company. He
Hmm.
was the visionary
Hmm.
when he came back.
Hmm.
So yes, that experience changed that.
Which he was very, very good at that and terrible at operations.
Exactly.
So he understood where his
Exactly.
skills were and he played to his skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Exactly. And that's what you got to do. It's and that's the toughest part is learning where your skill is
Mm-hmm.
and leaning into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Good way to put it. I like that. Awesome. So in the interest of time, we're going to have to start wrapping up. I think we could carry this
Oh,
conversation on all afternoon. Um, this is cool. So let's hit a few rapid fire
yeah.
questions. What would you say has been your key to success?
Probably the key to the success is has been knowing where what fight to fight. And as I
Ooh,
alluded
ooh, good.
theoretically
Yeah.
there, is
Yeah.
which are the ones going, yeah, and I keep referring back to Kenny, and my eternally in terms of Kenny Rogers, knowing to hold them, when to fold them.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's just knowing what you need, what having this what to fight for and what to go, yeah, okay, this is not the one
Not all
to
battles are
stand
worth it.
on. No,
Not.
exactly. And I think
Mhm.
with that, you get the internal fortitude is good, that confidence. At the same time, you get the respect of internally and externally for understanding that and doing that.
Hmm.
But
Good.
it's hard. And I've been, more times than not, I think I've been right about that. Not right
Good.
all the time. Believe me. I had hair
Any
before this started.
anybody who says they're 100% right all the time, you got to sit there and question
Oh,
what are they
run.
missing?
I'd run from that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. If you and I were having coffee at the coffee shop down the street and somebody walked in on us and they were talking to their friend about the business that they were just getting started, what's one piece of
Yeah.
advice you would share with that one person?
With lots of pieces. But
Hmm.
it does go back to surround yourself with advisors
Hmm.
and and people who not people who agree with you, but people who disagree with you,
Oh,
because
good.
that's what you learn from.
Yeah, good. Outside thinking.
Yeah, you need people from the outside. It doesn't have to be from internal. You need some elements of people understand what industry you're aiming for,
Hmm.
but you really want people. You don't want yes people. Like
Hmm.
we used to have early advisory meetings, and people would come out exhausted from it all because it was all triple A personalities from different industries.
Hmm.
And we would joke we had 6 people and 12 opinions. And it's just like you want that because you need that insight. Like and I can't remember if we talked about this before in the prep, but one thing a statistic I came across, and I've been trying to find that source again. I had it, it's in my computer somewhere, but 80% of innovation in any industry comes from outside that industry.
I think there's truth
And
to that.
so
Yeah.
don't be afraid to bring outside influence into your decision making because it only builds and makes it stronger, gives it some
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah.
And you don't get caught up into whatever's caught up in your existing industry. Go, well, that can't work. Well, maybe it can now
Yeah.
if you come in from a different perspective. And so you
Yeah.
need that outside perspective and not be
Yeah.
afraid of it.
Yeah. Good, good. Good, good, good. What's a book you are reading now or have read recently that's had impact on how you've been driving this forward?
Well, a book that I read that I continually quote to the chagrin and the driving people crazy for many years now, since second year university, is actually a book of the Peloponnesian Wars,
Ah, why that?
which is it is just the most fast. It's still the most fascinating book I've ever read in terms of because I think it's the second recorded history by Thucydides, who actually did the historical account of the battle between Athens and Sparta.
Hmm.
And what it gives is an understanding of the world today was reflected in those pieces in terms of you had superpowers, you had minor powers, you could put into big business and small business. There's like a lot of really interesting lessons in there. The biggest of many in there, the biggest lesson to me was you had, the first casualty of war were those who didn't have an opinion because they're
True.
no value to you. They're no value to either side. So of course I've interpreted that in terms of for business, but I love that book. In terms of a recent book I just read that I'm still reading is the biography Ian Fleming, who was the writer of all the James Bond films. But it's his story as an MI5, MI6 agent, predecessor, the OSS, the predecessor in World War II, and really fascinating individual. And then how he was informed and started writing the James Bond books. And it's really fascinating.
There's probably been no real innovations in leadership or, frankly, management in 5,000 years, if not more.
No, no. And again, that's what the history Peloponnesian
Hmm.
Wars book shows that there's been no change. There's no change in politics. There's no change in perspective. There's no change in how people operate and how they think.
Hmm.
It was enlightening to me, as a sophomore, and it still fascinates me.
Still true today. Yeah, all
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
factors.
In certain cases, sadly, to show we really haven't grown at all. Technology has changed, access to things have changed, but as a human animal, we're no different than we were
Or,
5,000 years ago.
or more. Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah,
good. You've had a great journey.
it's been interesting.
What are you most proud of in this journey?
I guess to be honest, what I'm most proud of is that, to these, the success that we've had, and I've had the ability to do different things.
Hmm.
And each one of them, I'd like to think, yes, there's certainly internal gratification in terms of an ego involved in these things,
Hmm.
but also that they've actually all helped people in their own way.
Hmm.
Like be very like as a film producer. I
Hmm.
remember my first film that we produced, and that was very involved in. We're in the theater the first time, and you go in there and you hear people laugh, you hear them cry, and you go, I've been involved in taking people on a journey for an hour and a half, taking them away from whatever bothered them in their day to day, and taking
Hmm.
them on an interesting journey.
Hmm.
And that was kind of very powerful feeling to sort of do that.
Hmm.
And fortunately, people liked it for the most part, liked the journeys that we sent them on.
Hmm.
And in the healthcare world and the innovation side, really the driver is to be able to help people
Hmm.
and patients. And I've been very fortunate to have received a number of awards for the work on the humanitarian awards work we've done.
Hmm.
And individuals is coming up in terms of how they were helped ultimately by what we've done.
Very good. Very good. Very
Because I
good.
have to I have to be able to look my kids in the eye
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for what I put them through in all this, because it's never a pretty journey.
It's not a pretty journey, that's for sure. Following up and just kind of flipping the question around to the opposite side, if you had a magic wand and you could significantly improve one thing in your business this afternoon, what would it be?
Figuring out why the clients just don't sign on the bottom line the moment we talk to them.
Walk in the door and sign here.
Just sign here, exactly. Even before they put the cream in the coffee, just
Yeah,
get it
yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, no, wait a minute. We need to have that coffee.
Yeah, that's a celebratory coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that. Very good. Very good. Most important question.
Oh.
How can people who want to know more get in touch with you easiest?
The easiest is you could email me
Hmm.
at hrosen@novapix.com.
Hmm.
You can certainly find me on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Um, I've been very fortunate to have a number of followers now.
Good.
So you can certainly find me on
Hmm.
LinkedIn.
Good.
And we just hit another milestone last week, which is kind of fun.
Good.
And we
Congratulations.
go to the website. Thank you. Or you can go to the website, which is novapix.com.
Very good. Very good. Last question. What's most inspiring to you today?
Probably the most inspiring thing is I do a lot of mentorship work
Hmm.
and just working with people in all sorts of where they are in their careers and all sorts of and just seeing that we're just starting.
Hmm.
Even though we say, okay, we reached this, they can realize now we're just starting and that there's a whole, and this is going to continue. So, you know, it's an affirmation that, what I think I do is unique and, been an interesting niche of where it's going and a perspective of where things are. But I see a whole raft of people who are going to definitely continue and have just brilliant insights and perspective and drive.
Very
So
good.
even when I'm not doing this anymore, to know it's actually going to continue, maybe I'm holding it back, it's going to accelerate.
To a certain degree, that's probably always true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. It's been a great conversation. You've brought up a
I,
couple of interesting points that I think tend to be a bit obscure and counterintuitive, but yet necessary. And I think the one that's resonating with me is not everybody goes the whole journey. Um,
yeah.
there are times where the business needs to go faster or go further, and the person that's there isn't the right one for that part of the adventure. And
Or a different direction.
yeah,
Or a different direction.
or a different place in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
And
and something as an
go ahead.
executive, you've got to pay attention to that.
And to be ready to make that decision when it needs to be made.
Yes, bingo. There it is, right there. Make the decision now because now is
Yeah.
when it's critical. Good,
And
good.
especially in an entrepreneurial environment, there's probably nothing harder.
They're like family.
Exactly.
Hmm. Hmm. So for the audience or everyone watching today, I encourage you to go back and listen because there's been some really good points there. Howard has inspired some interesting thoughts here, and that's been very, very good. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get notifications when conversations like this drop. And thank you to everybody who's joined us today. And Howard, thank you very much for sharing, being vulnerable, and inspiring us to think differently from the way we always think. And that's the way it's
Well,
got to
that's
be.
Well, it's very nice of you, Steve. I really enjoyed this discussion and surprised how fast it went. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. This has been
It
fun.
does.
Yeah,
It does. Thanks so much.
thank you.